Hey guys, today I'm doing my first episode of Plant-Based 101. The dogs will probably be in and out of the video because they're being extra needy because it's raining. But my goal with this series is to go over nutritional topics in the realm of plant-based eating that I think would be most helpful for you guys. So if there's something that I am not talking about that you want to know about, make sure to leave a comment below and I'll address it eventually. Today I want to talk about nutrition labels. So one of the good things about plant-based eating is it centers around whole foods. So fruits, vegetables, legumes, so beans, nuts, seeds, whole grains, all kinds of foods in their whole form. So for instance, if you're eating a carrot, you know it's a carrot. It's not like if you have a frozen pizza, you look at the ingredient list and it's super long. So one of the great things about whole food plant-based eating is that it's single ingredients, very simple. But there's going to be times when maybe you want to try a vegan product or something in your cabinet as simple as peanut butter, which is one of my examples here. It's always good to look at the nutritional label. And if that's something you're not familiar with, don't worry, because that's what today's topic is all about. So the first thing I look at when I look at labels are the ingredients themselves. So I'm not actually even looking at the calorie, fat, and all of that good stuff. My eyes go right to the ingredient list. If it's super lengthy, I'm usually just saying pass. But if there's a lot of ingredients on the list, it's most likely not going to be a healthy food. I'm just going to use the example of peanut butter. So most peanut butter, like Peter Pan, Jiffy, whatever it is, if you look at the back, you'll see peanuts, you'll see some kind of oil, like hydrogenated oil of some sort, sugar, and usually a few other things. This peanut butter, this is what I usually get, Richard's, Crazy Richard's peanut butter. Ignore the groans in the background if you can hear that, that's dogs playing. So this is just peanuts, which is wonderful. It does taste different. So if you're used to Jiffy or whatever, Peter Pan, that has sugar and oil, and those things are addicting and our taste buds are like, woo! So if you're used to that, this is going to taste dry and probably boring, but you'll get used to it, especially if it's going in something. But there's no need to add the extra oils, sugars, and fake ingredients into something as simple as peanut butter. It should just be peanuts. So that's a good one. Usually, as far as the ingredients go, I'm looking for ingredients I can't pronounce. That's usually not a good sign. Sugars, oils, those are in general, I try to stay away from that. So this is a good example. There's a lot of fillers, artificial ingredients. Again, if you're not familiar with reading labels, just start reading. Even if it, just go in your pantry, start reading. It's gonna probably be eye-opening. Another tip with label reading, for the most part, don't believe what the front side of the label says. So a lot of times it'll say the buzzwords, healthy, whole grain, low fat. I mean, there's all these keywords. All products, they come from the background of advertising, so they want you to buy it. I feel like there's two parts to this. The advertising, so they'll put things that are misleading, I would say, on the front of the labels a lot of times. And then also the ingredients they put in, like the sugars, the oils, fats, all that good stuff, are addicting. So they try to hook you by some false claims a lot of times. And then once you enjoy the taste, most likely you'll come back. And like I said before, with the oil, sugar, all that stuff can be addicting. So like Doritos, can anyone just have one? Probably not, because it's addicting. Hi, bud. Come here. Now we got Otis visiting. Hi, bud. Thank you. So when I was talking about whole food plant-based earlier, I said fruits, vegetables, legumes, whole grains, yada, yada, yada. Whole grains, it can be a tricky one sometimes to find. Well, oats, there's some obvious ones, but when you're trying to find, say, good whole wheat bread at the store, it's always important to look at the ingredients. And the first ingredient, it should say whole grain, whatever. So whole grain wheat. If it just says wheat or white wheat or something like that, it's not whole grain. So that's one indicator that when you're looking for whole grains, is it should say whole in front of grains. So pretty much if there's not whole in front of grain, then it's a refined grain. So all pre-packaged foods, white bread, all of these things that we're trying to stay away from, it's because they're refined so much. So you're losing the nutritional value. For instance, you take wheat in its whole form, that's really good for you, but then you process it and you add other processed ingredients, you're refining it, it's losing the fiber, it's losing the nutrients, and ultimately you're not getting anything from that. So it's kind of empty calories at that point. So one thing I hear a lot of people concerned about are carbohydrates. So a lot of, I have a high carb, I probably have 70% of my calories coming from carbohydrates. The complex kind though, not simple. So there's a big difference there. Junk food is going to be high carbohydrates, the simple kind. So Doritos, those are not the carbs we want. If you look at a sweet potato, that's high carbs, but it's complex carbs. It digests slower, it's providing nutrients, there's fiber there so you can digest it. So that's the kind of carbohydrates you want. So say you were to get a sweet potato and there was a nutritional label on it, which there isn't unless you maybe buy pre-cut or something. That would have high carbs, and rather than saying, oh, I can't eat that, that's high carbs, you'll see that there's also fiber there to help digest it, so that's good. Again, if you had the Doritos or something, high carbs, there's not going to be high fiber there. We don't want that. It's not providing nutrients for the body. Another thing to note when looking at nutritional labels is sodium, especially if you have heart disease of any sort or heart health is of a concern for you. A lot of times processed foods, but again, if you're getting like this is just peanuts, there's no salt in it. But if you're getting anything that's processed, a lot of times there's a lot of salt in it because our taste buds enjoy salt, so they just add it in there. So that is another thing to make note of on nutritional labels is the salt content. So those are the main things I look at the nutritional label. Like I said, I usually start with ingredients to make sure that there's not a lot of extra crap in there. If I can't pronounce the ingredient, it looks very foreign, that's probably not a good sign. I like to make sure that they're simple ingredients, and again, if you're eating the whole foods like fruits, vegetables, beans, that's, simple stuff. But I will say, sometimes I've been surprised. I will get something at the store that I think will just be one ingredient, and I'm glad I turned that label around and I look and there's added stuff or there's added oil. Sometimes like beans, refried beans, that's one thing. Early on I don't eat that anymore. I use dried beans and cook them. But there was lard in the refried beans. Never would have thought that. It's just important to look at the labels. If it's something you've never done before, just take this as a learning opportunity. Just familiarize yourself with it, starting with ingredients. Hope this helps. I will have lots more videos in the future, but this is just getting the ball rolling. If you guys have any questions or any topics you want me to discuss specifically, let me know below.